Welcome to the Big Rock Quarry Project, Construction Worker Environmental Awareness Training and Education Program. Biological resources. The project vicinity comprises diverse habitats that are home to sensitive and protected plants and animals such as mammals, reptiles, and birds. Federal, state, and local laws and specific measures developed for the project protect some of the biological resources found on site from harm or injury. During construction and operation of the project, we all have a commitment to protect the natural environment. All project staff members and contractor and subcontractor personnel must be aware of environmental compliance measures associated with the project. It is the responsibility of each person working in the project site to understand and comply with the environmental requirements that affect your work on the project. Project site. The project site is comprised of the existing undeveloped parcel. Laws and regulations. Many of the biological resources with potential to be found in the project area are protected by state and federal laws, such as the Federal Endangered Species Act, California Endangered Species Act, Federal Migratory Bird Treaty Act, and California Fish and Game Code. Take is to harass, harm, pursue, hunt, shoot, wound, kill, trap, capture, or collect, or attempt to engage in any such conduct. Protection extends to the animals, dead or alive, and all their body parts. Violation of state and/or federal environmental laws can result in fines to as much as $100,000 and/or up to 1 year imprisonment per violation. Violations can involve project penalties and penalties for the responsible individual. If any desert tortoise, Mojave ground squirrel, or bird nesting are observed, immediately leave and avoid the area where the individual was observed and inform the construction supervisor, who will coordinate with the project biologist. Measures specific to the project are included in the Environmental Impact Report, EIR, and Reclamation Plan prepared for the project. Measures to protect native plants include relocating Joshua trees between 3 and 10 feet in height and short joint beavertail cactus to undisturbed areas of the mining site prior to ground disturbance of each mining phase. A transplanting plan has been prepared that will guide the efforts of a landscape contractor to comply with this requirement. Seed from these species will be collected and put in cold storage to serve as a seed source that could be used to revegetate the site. A facility experienced with collecting and storing seed from these species will be contracted to do so at the appropriate time. Additional measures included in the EIR require biologists to conduct pre-construction surveys prior to the initiation of each mining phase to capture and relocate common wildlife such as zebra-striped lizard, side-blotched lizard, and desert horned lizard. Biologists familiar with these species and the project site are scheduled to perform this task. Further measures in the EIR apply to any wildlife that may be protected by federal or state law and would need to be captured and relocated by a qualified biologist. Although no previous observations of a federal or state-listed species have been made on site, personnel should remain alert for the presence of desert tortoise and Mojave ground squirrel, species protected by law which have been documented in the Greater Antelope Valley region. Harming, injuring, or killing species protected by federal or state law is expressly prohibited. Birds are seasonally common in the project site and are protected by federal and state laws. Between the Federal Migratory Bird Species Act and California Fish and Game Code, nearly all resident and migratory bird species and their nests and eggs are protected from any destruction, injury, pursuit, hunt, take, capture, transport, import, or kill. Biological monitors. Special status species are those listed by the U.S. Fish and Wildlife Service and/or the California Department of Fish and Wildlife as threatened, endangered, candidate for listing, sensitive or fully protected, rare, species of special concern, or nesting birds. Upon the discovery of a special status species, the biological monitor will immediately contact LWMI. The monitor will determine the appropriate course of action. Construction will only resume following confirmation from the biologist. Special status species. The project site contains desert habitat. Some special status species are known from the surrounding area, and though none were found during the pre-construction survey, they have potential to occur within the project site. Although remote, these species have potential to be impacted by project construction. Nesting birds. Nesting birds may be encountered within the project vicinity. Nesting bird season is considered to occur between February 1st and August 31st, though actual nesting season can vary annually. Birds may nest in shrubs, on the ground, and on or in construction equipment. The Migratory Bird Treaty Act and California Fish and Game Code protect nesting birds. If you observe birds displaying nesting behaviors, such as carrying sticks, feathers, food, etc., or if you see a nest, please notify the Granite point of contact as soon as possible. California horned lark. The California horned lark is small, sandy to rusty brown with a black chest band, a curving black mask, and white underparts. They are long-bodied, have short, thin bills, short necks, and rounded heads. These birds favor bare, dry ground in areas of short, sparse vegetation. This species was detected during pre-construction surveys. If you observe a California horned lark within or immediately adjacent to the project site, please notify the Granite point of contact as soon as possible. Loggerhead shrike. The loggerhead shrike is a state species of special concern. It is a medium shrike with gray upperparts and paler gray underparts. Its mask is black and its throat is white. Its bill is heavy and slightly hooked. It has black wings with white patches, and its tail is long, black, and white edged. This species was detected during pre-construction surveys. If you observe a loggerhead shrike within or immediately adjacent to the project site, please notify the Granite point of contact as soon as possible. Desert tortoise. The desert tortoise is federally and state threatened. It has a high domed shell, which is typically tan or dark brown in color. This species was not detected during pre-construction surveys. If you observe a desert tortoise, please notify the Granite point of contact as soon as possible. Mojave ground squirrel. The Mojave ground squirrel is state threatened. It has tiny, rounded ears, short legs, and a short tail. It is buffy tan in color with a light stripe along the sides and a white belly. It usually forages on the ground or in shrubs and Joshua trees and uses burrows at the base of shrubs for cover. This species was not detected during pre-construction surveys. If you observe a Mojave desert ground squirrel, please notify the Granite point of contact as soon as possible. Common wildlife. Other common wildlife includes the big rock lizard, the desert spiny lizard, and the zebra-tailed lizard. Other desert species. There is potential for snakes, venomous or harmless, to be present at the project site. While several species are potentially dangerous to humans, most are harmless creatures that form vital links in their ecosystems as highly efficient predators of rodents. Be aware, if you encounter a snake, leave it alone. If any snakes or venomous species are encountered, please notify the Granite point of contact as soon as possible. Special status plants. Short joint beavertail. The short joint beavertail is federally and state endangered. It has been categorized by the California Native Plant Society as seriously endangered in California. It can be described as a clumping, spreading cactus with flat, grayish-green, paddle-like leaves and pink flowers. If you observe a plant which may be the short joint beavertail, please notify the Granite point of contact as soon as possible. Special status plants. Joshua tree. The Joshua tree is a tree-like monocot which usually develops one stem and a dense crown composed of erect branches. The leaves are stiff, long, narrow, and sharply pointed on the tips. The flowers are greenish white. If you observe a plant which may be the Joshua tree, please notify the Granite point of contact as soon as possible. Specific EIR measures. Speed limits on unposted secondary roads to the project site will be restricted to 25 miles per hour or less to protect wildlife. Company employees will be made aware of the presence of sensitive species in the project area, implementation measures to protect the species during project operations, and means by which individual employees can participate in the preservation of sensitive species. Trash and food items shall be contained and regularly removed from the extraction site to prevent predators such as ravens and coyotes from visiting the site. General work practices and protection measures. To minimize construction impacts, the following will be observed. Workers must attend the Environmental Awareness Training, EAT, and show proof of completion. Each worker must sign the EAT Certificate of Completion form and place an EAT sticker on their hard hat. Do not bring pets, firearms, or weapons to the project site. They are prohibited. Firearms are allowed by law enforcement officials only. All ground disturbance, construction vehicles, and equipment will be confined to approved work areas. Avoid running over any vegetation outside of the current construction area. Sanitary equipment such as motors, pumps, generators, and welders shall be positioned over drip pans. Equipment fueling, storage, and equipment maintenance shall occur outside of the project area or within a designated area within the project site to minimize potential impacts on wildlife. Project equipment and vehicles operated in the project site shall be checked and maintained daily to prevent leaks of materials that could be harmful to wildlife. Keep fluid spill containment and cleanup materials readily available. Clean up and report all hazardous material spills immediately. At the end of the workday, all potential wildlife pitfalls, such as trenches or excavations, should be backfilled. If backfilling is not feasible, all trenches and other excavations shall be sloped at a 2-to-1 ratio at the ends to provide wildlife escape ramps or covered completely to prevent inadvertent entrapment of wildlife species. The biological monitor will inspect for wildlife at the beginning of each workday, periodically throughout, and at the end of each workday. Pipes, culverts, or similar structures greater than 3 inches in diameter will be inspected for wildlife before moving or capping. All such structures will not be left open overnight. Alternatively, they will not be capped before being stored or placed on above-ground pipe racks. At no time should wildlife be harmed. If wildlife is observed, allow it to leave on its own volition. Do not handle, feed, or disturb wildlife. If you have any questions, please notify the Granite point of contact, listed on the next slide. We are here to keep everything progressing smoothly without harm to living creatures within the scope of this landfill expansion project. Thank you.